lot of teams in Nebraska's situation might have kind of folded up a little bit, with COVID, the pause they had, not much hope for going to postseason, but they've really fought. What's impressed you about them?
I think you got to give a lot of credit to Fred. He when he got sick and when they first paused, he called me to tell me, and he said, we're going to make up the games. We're all systems go. We'll get better, and you got to give them credit. Not only have they done that, they played well. Played really well yesterday. Won 3 out of the last 4 or whatever. Really playing well, sharing the ball. But I think making a statement with, okay, we had some difficulties we had to overcome, but we're going to go ahead and finish out the schedule, and we're going to continue to compete. You got to respect that.
Mike Kloss.
Fran, you've been asked a lot, I know, in the last few of these that we've done about the way the defense has come around and really made a difference. But could you detail how the progress has been made and the results have been gotten?
You know what, Mike, it's not complicated. It really isn't. You got to get down and guard the ball off the dribble. You got to get back. You got to rebound. It's all connected that way. When you only give up 2 offensive rebounds to Ohio State, it was a very good offensive rebounding team. That's a big statement. How we defend in ball screens, we're doing a much better job there. That stuff's hard to guard when you have other actions going on. So I think our guys have really locked into personnel, to scouting, and really committed to playing defense on all levels, which is obviously transition, half court, regardless of what defense we're in, and fighting people on the glass.
Mark Emmerts.
Yeah, Fred, it looks like you're going to be able to get all 27 of your games in this year that you had scheduled, I guess. What does that say about your program? How have you been able to do that? And a lot of teams can't say that.
Well, I think it starts with the commitment our institution made, our department, to daily testing. But then it really comes down to the discipline, I think, that our players showed, and a commitment to one another to be safe and do everything we could in terms of making good decisions off the floor, so we can show up and practice every day, and we can show up and play on all of our games. So I'm really proud of our institution, our department. Mr. Bart has done an unbelievable job, along with Bruce Harold and Kevin Warren, our commissioner, to put us in a position where we can make this happen.
Don Doxey.
Yeah, Fran, what do you see in Nebraska now that's different from a couple of weeks ago? I know Mayen has really come on and everything, but what else are they doing differently now that they weren't doing before?
They're really sharing the ball, making really good decisions, playing very unselfishly, I think. If you look at the last 6 or 7 games, and they've played really well. But even before that, I mean, sometimes you look at a team's record and you think, wow, they lost a bunch of games in a row, but every game they're right there. So you can kind of see it coming. They were going to win some. I think Thorman's been, he was always a good player, and he wasn't playing that much, and he started playing more. That made a big difference. Like you pointed out, Allen's really a good player. They've gotten great play out of their center position. They're just playing more consistently, I think, with their decision making, their ball movement. They're competing on defense. They're a tough team. They just happen to be in a really good league.
Rob Howe.
Fran, we haven't had a chance to ask you. Could you tell us kind of, I know this could change, but what Jack Nunge's timeline is for getting back, how he's dealing with this mentally? And then third part of that is, where's Josh at? And is there a chance that he can help you out just as another big body in there?
Yeah, Jack had surgery today, went well. We expect him back sometime during the summer, maybe the middle, maybe the end of the summer. We expect him back next year. He has a very positive outlook on this whole thing, despite all what he's been through. He's been amazing in my view. Been doing this a long time. Really, really proud of him. We're all pulling for him. Josh is getting better. He didn't make the trip last to Ohio State. He wasn't feeling good, so we'll see how he is today. But the other guy that can jump in there is Chris Murray. I think he's ready for a shot, so that's a possibility. We can also play smaller. Put Tony Perkins in there, who's a really athletic wing that really attacks the glass. So there's a lot of ways we can go. Obviously, it starts with our top three subs, Keegan, Patrick, and Joe T. We were able to play those 8 and do okay with it. But at some point, we're going to need another big guy. You're right. And I'm comfortable, or I should say getting more comfortable with the possibility of playing Josh and Chris in particular.
Tom Kakert.
Friend, this will be the last 2 home games for Luca and for J-Bo. Can you kind of, I know you'd love to have fans there for him, but can you kind of talk about, maybe not having the fans there to honor those guys and what they've meant to your program?
Yeah, I mean, we all wish the place was full and they could be honored properly. We're going to do the best we can. Pretty much what we always do. But unfortunately, not even the parents are going to be allowed on the floor. They're going to be up. Hope to honor them at another time, maybe at the banquet, maybe next year at a game when it's full again. But those 2 guys have been so instrumental in so much success in our program's history. I'm just thankful to have had the opportunity to coach both of them, watch them grow and develop and become record setters, essentially. So, we'll do the best we can on Sunday for them. But at some point, they'll be honored again, I'm sure.
Mike Kloss.
Continuing along that line, Fran, Jordan has said repeatedly how he appreciates that you believed in him from the get-go and took a chance on him where other major programs maybe weren't as interested. And then you were in so early on Luca, and Luke and his dad have mentioned that repeatedly. Just if you could go back 5 years, 6 years, and talk about, in a nutshell, what you saw in those 2 guys.
Yeah, I had the luxury of watching Jordan at a very young age. He played with Connor. They went to Las Vegas to play, and he was terrific there. And obviously watched him throughout his high school career because they used to play against West High 2 times a year. But then they would play in the fall leagues and the spring leagues. So I really watched Jordan develop. And when you're doing that, I mean, the reality is you're comparing him to other players that you may have seen, or your staff is recruiting that are from other states and play on other AAU teams, and you're going through the process, And I think what happened with Jordan was he just consistently played well, no matter who he played against. Whether he was playing for his high school coach. Whether he was playing for Hank Huddleston, with the Martin brothers, he just always played well. And whenever he played against high-level guys, he played well. And I think it just got to the point where it was a no-brainer for me. I can't speak to why others didn't think so, because it wasn't like he ever played poorly in any game that I ever attended, and I saw him quite a bit. But the other thing is, he has a competitive side that most people don't have. And they just don't have it. And he has it. And he's fearless. And I think you saw it when he was a freshman. Some of the performances were amazing in his sophomore year, which is one that I will always remember because, I mean, he gutted it out. You know, Connor got sick and had the red shirt. We didn't have a point guard, and he's playing on 2 bad hips and plantar fasciitis. I mean, that's it. That's the epitome of toughness right there. He just fought through and never complained one time. I didn't even know he had anything wrong with him. He just showed up and played. So to watch him enjoy the success that he has and you know, break Jeff Horner's record was a tremendous player here. I coached against him and be where he is on the scoring charts and 3-point makes. I'm really happy for him, for his family, who I've gotten to know really well, and very proud of him. Now, Luca, different situation coming from a different part of the country. I've said this many times. I was fortunate enough to watch him play against Connor, who was on an AAU team that was a provisional EYBL team, which is the Nike organization. And he just impressed me the first time I saw him. Then I was fortunate enough to see him again in St. Louis at the Nike Elite 100, and then I saw him at Nike Top 100, and then I saw him on the circuit. He played for Chuck Drizel. I had a chance to watch him for his high school team. And again, for whatever reason that I couldn't figure out, there were knocks on him in the recruiting process. But what was interesting, and Frank and I would talk about this, we both knew that in the end, he would have everybody there wanting him. And I think it was important, maybe not so much to Luca, but to Frank, to see how his hard work paid off with the recognition that he deserved. So by the end of the summer of his junior year, before his senior year, when really the recruiting decisions are made, he pretty much had everybody that wanted him. What, like you said, we were in first in terms of a BCS school that said, hey, you're our guy. And we never wavered from that. And you know, the whole getting in early thing, I think a lot of people think that goes a long way, and it does, but it goes a long way because you develop a relationship. It's not, well, we remember the first school that offered. You develop a relationship in a way that I think builds trust, and that's what we had. You know, Luca and his parents and his high school coach trusted us, and that's a tremendous feeling as a coach. And then you bring a guy in with tremendous work ethic. You watch him compete at the highest level, achieve phenomenal success. And most importantly, you watch both these guys, you know, really, really have fun and enjoy this experience, and watch them become talented freshmen and ultimately team leaders. And that's what you want as a coach. You want your leadership to come from within the locker room and not just from the coaching staff, because if it does, it never works. So I'm really, really happy for both of them. I'm proud of both of them.
It sounds like because your son was a player, was a college, major college prospect, and played on these teams and traveled around, that you got extra benefits from that. I mean, the chance to see these other 2 guys and get to know them a lot better, a lot sooner.
Yeah, I think it would have been a little bit different with Jordan. I would have seen him in a number of places probably anyway. But you're right. I mean, you know, the first tournament we went to was after the recruiting period, during the dead period. I was able to go because Connor was on the team. You know, Luca, again, you know, we got an early peek at him. Now he was playing in events that the coaches could go to eventually, but not only did I get to see him early, I got to see him play against really good players. Same thing with Jordan. So it made, you know, you're watching these young kids play against high-level guys that are highly rated and perform at the level that they did. You know, people have said, oh, you know, it's interesting that you guys were in early. You saw something nobody else saw. I really, all I ever saw these 2 guys do was compete and win. That's all they've ever done. So I don't think it was anything miraculous. It was just I think a level of respect that I had for both of them, and a desire to get them into our program because I knew what that would lead to. And that's a terrific locker room presence, camaraderie, and success.
I have time for two more questions. Mark Emmert, go ahead.
Yeah, friends, staying on the Luca topic, I'm not sure if you have any say in this, but do you believe he should have his number retired here? And if so, what does that say about an athlete when they get that kind of an honor?
Very rare. I mean, I've had a few. Yeah, I don't think you're wrong on that one. I think that's a no-brainer. That'll happen. It's a question of when. Well deserved, and I'll look forward to that moment. And so, so will he and his family. But right now, I think his focus is not on that. But I appreciate the question. Yeah, I mean, it'll happen, Mark, without a doubt.
And finally, for the last question, we'll go to David Eichel. Go ahead, David.
Yeah, Fran, when Luca got here, there were, I think, 7 Iowa natives on the roster. I think Dom Ewell was the only one that was out of the Midwest. And to see Luca, come back for a senior season, give up a lucrative overseas deal and plenty of professional opportunities, I think speaks to the way kind of the Iowa community has embraced Luca and vice versa. Can you just speak on how Iowa's either embraced Luca and vice versa, and that just relationship in general?
Yeah, I think it's been a great fit for everyone. From day one, I think our fans looked at him and said, "This guy's special." We all talk about his work ethic, which is not matched by many. And we go back to his sophomore year and what he overcame health-wise, and the success he's had the last 2 years. I think sometimes that gets overlooked, but I think there's a healthy appreciation of our fan base and of his teammates for what he's done. And when you have a guy like that who's unselfish and just really speaks in the locker room in a way that commands respect, it's something that is special to see. And for me, it's something that I appreciate every day. As you guys know, it's a long season, and there's a lot of ups and downs, and there's a lot of things that happen, in particular this year, that anything short of that kind of commitment and understanding, and just overall love for each other, and I think the season could have gone sideways, not necessarily in terms of wins and losses, but health-wise. There's just never going to be any selfishness in our locker room, with the guys that are in there, and with Luca, as the leader. So, the recognition he's gotten has been incredibly well-deserved, and something that I'm very proud of and very happy for him.
All right. Thank you, Coach. We appreciate your time.
Yeah, Luca, I think when you got here, there were 7 Iowa natives on the roster. I think Dom Ewell was the only one that was outside the Midwest. And obviously you gave up a number of professional opportunities, come back for your senior year. Just how has the Iowa community sort of embraced you, and why were you guys just such a good fit, and how has that developed over your time here?
I think as soon as I got here, I just really fell in love with the university and the campus. The people around here, it was an adjustment coming from a big city, and it's a lot different. But it's really nice how it's different. I love both places, and once I came here, I just really I fell in love with everything. I just love this university, and I've been very thankful to be here for the time I have been. So it's really been special, and I think all the guys on the team really welcomed me with open arms, and made me feel like I was joining a new family, and that's really what it's been since I got here. It's really just a family environment, and I think people have taught me about Iowa and just different things that I had never known, and I hadn't really been to the Midwest ever. And I was a city kid, so I think when I came here, me in the summer, Austin Ash, me and him were really close, and he kind of just was like, kind of shown me, what Iowa City's about, and same with Connor McCaffery, and obviously the older guys with Nicholas Barrett and Jordan and Cordell and everybody. So I really, it was really cool to meet those guys and to be here.
Mark Emmert?
Yeah, Luca, it looks like now you're going to get all 27 of your regular season games in. What has it taken as an athlete? What has it taken for you guys to get to this point where a lot of teams weren't able to do that? Like, what kind of sacrifices did you have to make? How difficult was it to go through all this?
I credit to our guys. I think we've shown a tremendous amount of maturity in our ability to handle, this kind of unprecedented kind of time we're in. Me and Connor and some of the leaders on this team kind of had a meeting before the season started on what it's going to have to be like. We had to make sure that, you're going home and then you're coming to the gym, and that's really all you're doing. We can hang out with each other, we can hang out with other people, can't really see family. I haven't been able to see my dad like I usually can. And obviously I haven't seen my mother in a while. So, it's different, but, you have to be able to, understand that, what your priority is. We want to be able to play in March. We want to be able to play all our games, and that's the priority. And in order to do that, you have to be smart. You have to be careful. Can't be going out. Can't be walking around downtown. It's just a lot of things. You can't put yourself in positions, where you could potentially get sick. And, obviously we don't want to put our coaches and the other people around us at risk as well. So, it's a lot different. I think it's harder mentally on every basketball player because there's no distraction. You go home and you go to the gym. That's it. There's nothing else. There's no escape. But I think for everybody on the team, we love the game of basketball, and we love the opportunity that is in front of us. So it's exciting for us, and we're a group that would do whatever it took to make sure that we can play all our games. And I think there's been a lot of teams across the country that have done a great job, and I commend everybody in the Big Ten because we only had, I think, Michigan State and obviously Nebraska being canceled or moved. And when a lot of other leagues, some teams still haven't gotten to 15 games. It's crazy, but I just really commend everybody in this league, and really thankful for the Big Ten and having daily testing and all of that has provided us the opportunity to play.
Tom Kakert?
Luca, I know you're focused on bigger things this year, but we asked Fran earlier about retiring your number, and he said it's a no-brainer. What are your thoughts on that?
That's a dream come true. I think when I came to university, I don't think if you told me then that I would be in a position to have my jersey retired, I would have told you you're crazy. I wanted to work as hard as I could, and play as hard as I could, but for that to happen, it's truly special. And this place has given me so much, and I just hope that I have given half as much back.
Chad Leistko?
Hey, Luca, are you familiar with like KenPom analytics?
Yes.
What you guys have really risen up the ranks defensively in the last month. What's the best way you could describe what has changed in the evolution of your defense as a team?
I think the effort was always there. I think the execution and the ability, to really stay connected. I think that was the part that was lacking. I think we always played hard, but our ability to be connected, communicate, talk, and I think everyone just kind of, after we dropped a couple games, when you look back at those games, we realized our offense was good enough to win all those games. But we went through a stretch where our offense couldn't score, and that's when the team made a run because we couldn't get stops to stay in the game. So we kind of, I think the whole team kind of just understood that there's one thing holding us back, and that's our ability to get stops. And once I think the first game that we really played at that level of defense was at Indiana, and we obviously came short in that game. But the start of that game, we were up 17-4 when I got my second foul. And so that was just, speaking to, our ability to get stops and then go down and score. And, our offense wasn't even great in that stretch. It was just, our ability to shut down other teams from scoring. We know we're going to eventually score at some point. But I think, and then you show games like Penn State where we're stuck at 54, both teams, for like 3 minutes. Neither team could score. And that just speaks to us being able to get stops when our offense is not as good. And I think that's one thing in the Michigan game, we had that in the first half because, obviously, I wasn't great in the first half, and our whole team, we didn't shoot the ball particularly great in the first half, but we were still right there because we were able to get stops. And then obviously we got away from that in the second half. But I think through the stretch, we've just shown really a lot of resiliency on that end, and just a lot of toughness on that end. And we've really committed to bettering ourselves as a defensive team, and we're going to continue to do that because we know the better our defense gets, the better we'll be, and the farther we'll make it.
Michael Laws.
You had the thing with the cyst a couple of years ago, and Jordan's had hip surgeries. These are not common basketball ailments. Do you sort of relate to each other on that level? And I mean, when you look at what he's done this season and what he's come back from, how do you evaluate that?
I think, when I first got here and I started playing with Jordan, I immediately understood that this guy was tough. He played through anything. I think he's had so many different injuries, whether it be feet or whatever, that are actual regular basketball injuries. And I think, that's something that, I think we kind of share in common, is just we're going to battle through whatever we can, until we hit a point where we have to be told, like, you have to get surgery, or this has to stop. You have to stop playing and get better. And I think that just speaks towards his toughness and his ability to push through adversity. And I think, it was the same thing for me. I had no idea that, I had whatever was going on in my abdomen, and then I found out and had to push through that. And, you've seen his, thank God I had a, way quicker recovery than, Jordan had to go through. And I didn't have to get it done, twice. And so that amount of adversity, you have to, commend a guy who could push through all of that and then be able to come back and do what he's done for us this year and be our leader. And obviously, control games from, his passing and his ability to shoot the ball. And it's just, it's really nice to play with him. Obviously we missed him last year and other guys stepped up, but, we always miss, when he's not out there. So I'm very thankful to play with a player like that.
Don Doxey.
Yeah, Luca, there's obviously a lot of, you're looking forward to a lot on Sunday and everything. You guys do another game before that. Is it a little tough to focus on Nebraska and what you got coming on Thursday?
I don't think so at all, especially when you watched the game last night and Nebraska beat Rutgers by 30, or they were up by 30 at some point. So I think we're all really focused on what we have to do. And we know this team is good, and they've beaten some good teams in our league. And I think we're all very focused because we understand, that, if we win these next two games, we're putting ourselves in a really good position in terms of March. So I think we all know that the next game on the schedule is the most important. Obviously, we know that Senior Day is Sunday, but these are two more very important games for our group.
Just one or two more for Luca. Go ahead, Scott Docterman.
Yeah, Luca, last November in a game against Penn State, Davion Nixon pulled kind of what some people call a Euro step on an interception return for a touchdown. And he was asked afterwards if he'd ever played you in one-on-one and who would win. And he said he didn't know and he'd have to body you up. Have you ever played Davion in any, in even just shooting around? And what's kind of your relationship with him? Because he was a first-team All-American defensive player.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I've grown closer to Davion, like, the more years we've been here, but we were close as soon as, I got here. And as a freshman, I think he came halfway through the semester into the dorms. So, he was always a guy who was, one of the nicest people I've ever met, just really outgoing, very cool dude. And I got to know him really well. And I mean, this season, how he performed, how dominant he was really impressive to watch. And it was really cool to see. I think I got really close to, a lot of the guys on the football team, my freshman year, and to see all of them, we talk about Geno Stone, Tristan Wirfs, AJ Epinesa, all of them just, succeed and dominate. And obviously Davion doing the same thing. It's been really, cool to watch that. But no, I don't think, I've been to the gym a couple times, with AJ, and I don't think, I ever got to see Davion play. I watched the journey on him. So I watched his highlights, and he looked like he was a tank down there, and he was pretty good. But No, I mean, I think if he tried to push me out, then, I try to shoot some jumpers, and we'll see how he would deal with that. But no, I think it would be a lot of fun, and I'm very excited to see where his career goes from here. He's a tremendous worker, and like I said, he's a better person off the court than he is a football player. And especially before this year when he wasn't as dominant as he was this year, he was outgoing, and I already knew who he was because of how cool of a person he was. So it's really cool to see how he's developed in his time here.
All right, thank you, Luca. We're going to move on to our other guys. We appreciate.
I asked Luca the same thing, but looks like you guys are going to get all 27 of your regular scheduled games in this season. Not a lot of teams have been able to do that. I guess, can you maybe as an athlete tell us what it's been like for you to have to go through all this? Do you feel like you had to sacrifice quite a bit to get this done? And how did you get it done?
Yeah, I mean, it's a testament to the sacrifices that we've made as a team. We said from day one, back in, early summer to August, around October, that said, and around October is kind of when we locked everything down. We said we're gonna, focus on basketball. We're not gonna, go outside and, go downtown, go see people, go see our friends, go see our families even. And we said we're gonna be focused on this team throughout the entire season. And because we haven't had any pauses, that shows the testament of, the guys in the locker room really sacrificing a lot and not, going outside, their social distancing circles. And, it has been tough, doing that for this amount of times, having big wins and wanting to go see your friends, wanting to go hang out with your families after games and not being able to do that. It's kind of just been all work the entire year and just continue to work on ourselves. It's been tough, but like I said, we've sacrificed a lot and we want to have it to mean something towards the end of the season. I think we're on pace to do that.
Mike Loss.
Jordan, Austin Ash was on here a few minutes ago and he told us that he'd bet on himself to beat you in a 3-point contest. Who would you bet on? But more importantly, I've watched this guy all year, the last few years, in fact, and it seems like he's as into these games as you guys on the floor, and he talks to you guys a lot. What has he provided as a teammate?
I mean, first off, I already knew he was going to say that. If you ask Austin Ash anything, he's always going to bet on himself. He's one of the most confident guys I know, and that's why everyone loves him on the team. And that's what makes him so special to this team because he knows his role. He's very, very skilled. A lot of people talk on his name a couple of times, why he's on the team, what's he doing on the Iowa basketball team. He's one of the most skilled basketball players that I've been around. One of the best shooters that I've ever seen. His shot does look funny at times, but it goes in more times than not. But off the court and on the court, he's one of the best teammates you can ask for, one of the best friends you can ask for, because he's all about Iowa. He grew up as an Iowa Hawkeye fan, loved the Iowa Hawkeyes growing up, continues to love the Iowa Hawkeyes. We'll do anything for this team, for us to win. We'll sacrifice anything. And you see that on the sidelines when he's just cheering on the team, night in and night out, hoping for the best for his teammates out there.
It seems like in the chances he's had to play, when he makes shots, nothing seems to give your guys more pleasure than that.
Yeah, it just shows, like I said, how much we love him. He's everything you want as a teammate. And, I've said this a lot to my brothers, and Zach has said that a lot about his Final Four team. You need guys like that on your team to make important runs late in the season, guys that will continue to cheer on your team, guys that continue to motivate your team when, times are tough. And he's one of those guys that is always there to pick the team up, always there to cheer us on the sidelines. And a guy that's experienced, he's been through a lot as well. So anytime you have a guy like that on your team, it's definitely a solution to have a great team chemistry and a great opportunity to make it deeper on the tournament. Chad?
Are you good with spending hopefully a month in Indianapolis? And I guess on the same note, are you just glad to be home this week for a full week before that happens?
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming as soon as this Wisconsin game gets done in the weekend, that I'm not sure when we're leaving. I would imagine, coach would want to get there as soon as possible to, limit us at any chance of getting outside contact before us ending up in Indianapolis, which would make sense. But, it is what it is. It's what we signed up for. and I guess you could say we didn't really sign up to play in a world pandemic, but we're here and we're playing, and we want, to make the most of it. We sacrificed a lot since the first part of the season, and we want, our sacrifices to show, and we put ourselves in great position to do that. Spending a month in Indianapolis, there's going to be obviously some downfalls to it, not seeing families, friends, but what a great opportunity it is for us to do something that, won't probably ever happen again in our lifetimes, of playing in a world pandemic and playing in an NCAA tournament, that will hardly have any fans. That probably won't ever happen again. And, it'll be fun to kind of be along for that ride.
Tom Kakert.
Jordan, kind of a twofold question. You've been at your brother's senior days. This one's going to be a little different. What are your thoughts? It's got to be weird for you, just because you've experienced those with your family before, and this one's going to be different. And two, what is on your shirt there? It looks interesting.
Oh, this is a Tater Tufts shirt. We wore them a couple years ago.
Yeah.
The kid that we saw in the stands from Williamsburg that meant a lot to this program. Just wishing the best for him in his recovery, and his family. Just praying for him every day. But yeah, this is a sentimental T-shirt for sure, because he's been close to our program for a while, and seeing him after the game the other day was really special, and something I'll remember for the rest of my life for sure. I'm not sure what your first part of the question was. I can't remember.
It was about just being a different senior day. You've gone through those with your brothers. Now you're going to have yours, but it's going to be way different.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be different. Not having my mom and dad, by my side, walking out of the court, all the blood, sweat, and tears I put on Carver Hawkeye Arena, and just thinking about the ride that I've had, a lot of ups, a lot of downs. It's been an incredible opportunity that Coach McCaffery has given me. And I can't believe, the journey that I've been on. Just truly blessed. I thank God every day for, how he set me up for life to, provide me with this platform to inspire the younger generation, put me with a family that, my mom and dad raised me the right way. My brothers gave me this competitive edge, gave me a huge advantage when I first stepped foot on campus. It's going to be really bittersweet, but truly grateful and thankful for everything that has happened these last 5 years.
All right. Thanks, Jordan. We appreciate it. Appreciate all your time today, guys.
Can you just give us a little bit of a sense of what this journey has been like for you? And are you ready for it to end? Does it seem like it's ending for you?
Yeah, it's gone by extremely fast. Coming in freshman year, redshirted that year. Obviously, we didn't get off to the best of starts, but that year felt like a little longer than these last three have been. But yeah, I really haven't thought about the end of the season yet. Just trying to enjoy the moment, live in the moment. But it's definitely gone by crazy fast these last couple of years.
Mike Kloss.
Austin, what made you want to be a walk-on at Iowa when you could have played college basketball a lot somewhere?
Yeah, decision process was difficult. Obviously, it is for everybody. But for me, I grew up a Hawkeye fan. Always dreamed of playing for the Hawkeyes. Grew up watching guys like Matt Gatins and always coming to those games. I grew up in a Hawkeye family. So when Coach McCaffery called me and offered the walk-on position going into my senior year, I just kind of jumped on the opportunity to be a part of the program, and I really don't regret it at all. I've loved every opportunity I've had here, and cherish all the moments I've had.
Don Doxey.
Yeah, Austin, you're going out with two very special seniors, Luca and Jabo. I wonder if you could talk a little about them. They're very different players, very different kind of guys, but just kind of talk about what they bring to the team.
Yeah, I've known Jordan a lot longer than Luca, and I'm obviously really close with Luca. I've been living with him for a while, but Luca obviously brings hard work and dedication and is a leader by example, and also is vocal as well. But a guy that's always first in the gym, last one out. I spent many weekends in here with him, especially freshman year, sophomore year, just grinding, working on getting better, trying to turn this program in the right direction, which it has. And then a guy like Jordan, another guy who leads by example as well. Just the way he plays the game, always has his head up, always teaching other people, whether it's in the locker room or on the court, helping people, trying to get people better. Both those guys, just great leaders and have helped this program so much.
Mark Emmert.
Yeah, Austin, can you tell me, why do you wear the number 13?
Originally, I was going to wear number 24. I was a huge Kobe Bryant fan when I was a kid. And I think when I came, Brady Ellingson was wearing number 24, so I had to review my options, go over them. In 13, I like Steve Nash growing up. I really liked the way he played. So just kind of not a lot of meaning behind it, but just went with it because of that.
It seems like it kind of fits your personality, though, aren't you? Kind of the more zany kind of guy.
A little bit, yeah, for sure.
Pat Hardy.
Yeah, Austin, who wins the 3-point shooting contest between you and Jordan?
I would have to pick myself there. I'll never bet it against anybody besides myself when it comes to shooting. Obviously, Jordan, I wouldn't take anybody else against him in the whole country. The guy's proven it time and time again, shooting bombs and shooting at a high percentage, and has hit so many clutch threes throughout his career. But I'd have to take myself over him, and I think he knows I would say that as well.
Okay.
Tom Kakert.
Austin, when you get in, it's usually the shots going up and the bench goes crazy when you hit one. What's that like for you?
It's a great feeling. All these guys know that I put in all the hard work and practice, preparing for scout team and helping these guys out. And they see me on the bench, getting excited for them when they're making big plays and we're on runs and stuff like that. So it's nice to see that energy reciprocated. It really feels good. I always try to take a look over at the bench when I hit a big shot or towards the end of the game. It just feels good to see those guys getting excited for me.
And our last question for Austin comes from Mike Kloss. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, how long have you been roommates, friends with Luca, and what do you do for each other off basketball courts?
Yeah, I didn't roommate with Luca freshman year in the dorms, but we were one floor apart, so we were always with each other. And then after that, we've pretty much lived together for the last 3 years. And we just became really good friends on the basketball court. He's taught me a lot, and I feel like I've taught him a lot of stuff as well throughout the games. I'm always telling him different moves he can do, or how many fouls the other opponent's big men have, trying to help him out. And off the court, he's just a guy that's always there for me. I try to do the same for him, helping each other out through any situation possible. And I think that friendship will last a long time.
What can you tell us about him that maybe the world hasn't already heard?
I'd say he's a nicer guy on the court than he is a better player on the court. I don't know anybody that dislikes Luca. I mean, I have people that don't like me. I think everybody has multiple people that don't like them, but everybody I know loves Luca. I mean, whether we're at Hy-Vee or we're going to the grocery store, or even before he was even really great at basketball and was well known for it, everybody just really enjoys him. Everybody loves being around the guy, and it's something that is really special. Not a lot of people probably know.
All right. Thank you, Austin.
Yeah, Michael, your dad told me a couple of years ago he thought you had a future as a coach, probably more so than Nicholas did. Just can you talk about what you are planning to do with your future? Is coaching a possibility?
Yeah, coaching is definitely a possibility. That's something I've always wanted to do. I just fell in love with the game when I was young, and my dad and my coaches kind of always told me I was a little ahead of my age in my basketball intelligence. So that's something I've always wanted to do. Also, being able just to relate to kids and help people reach their potential. And I think that'd be really rewarding as a profession. And one thing I've always said is, like, if I was a coach for a profession, it wouldn't feel like work. So going every day and coaching and being around basketball would be pretty fun to do.
How have the past 4 years prepared you for that, do you think?
Oh, it prepared me a whole lot. Coach McCaffery is definitely one of the best offensive coaches in the country, and just learning from him, all the plays we run and the way he sets people up, and kind of his philosophy has been really helpful. And then the rest of the coaching staff too, we've had all of our assistants have also been head coaches. So they have a whole lot of basketball knowledge. And then also just learning from my teammates. Obviously Luca is one of the best Hawkeyes to ever wear the uniform. So just learning from how he plays, and also J-Bo and all these guys, just being able to be around them and learn how they play their position will also help me in my coaching career.
All right. Anything else for Michael? All right. Thank you, Michael.